So you wonder, like for me, you know, when we went for that holiday, I was thinking of just going home to sleep, you know, enjoy with family, like in a field day. I wonder how yours was.
Mine was, I didn't involve myself in much. Yes, I just, basically I was at home, yeah, with family. And I followed through also what was really happening with the Mchongwano season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the political slugfest as it is. You know, anger platforming is what is happening currently, and how maybe even the office of a president is now, you know, buckling down to the playbook of the opposition. Yeah. Right where he wanted him to be. So this is raising questions regarding also the decorum of our politics, the hygiene of our politics. Mchongwano, from our days as well, even in Mchongwano there were rules. Huh? Yeah, they used to say, you know, it is about me and you. It's not about my mom. It's not about our disabilities around. You know, we respect each other. And you see, those ones actually will turn out to be very feisty, and even you guys could exchange fists if you actually chongwa my mom or my dad. You could see. Yeah. And the louder people are laughing, now the angrier you will really get. Yeah. So even with Mchongwano, there were rules, right, that you had to really abide. And I think even in politics, that should be carried through. So when we really bring our issues of health, when we bring in also our issues of our family, people who are not really warranted to be in that particular space, I think then we're really overplaying our hands.
Absolutely. Lakini kuna mtu atalia. Because Mchongwano is getting messy, the one that you're seeing right now with our politicians, no one wants to back down. So, like you said, unaona kitambo ilikuwa inafika mahali unakasirika and then you start crying. I'm seeing this not taking a very good turn. Of course, there are calls for them to tone down, but nobody wants to tone down. They say if you go low in Kenya, they're dragging you down the drain. They're mopping the floor with you. So that's really, we are hoping that it will cool down, and of course tutakuwa tunaangalia tuone what is happening. But today is World Meteorological Day. All right, so just protect yourself. The meteorological department has already issued directives. There are some areas that are on high alert with flooding. The rains are still continuing. The last directive that was issued ends tomorrow, the 24th of March. So let's take a look at the state of the weather this morning. All right, Laikipia is raining this morning and it's 14 degrees, highs of 23 degrees expected in Laikipia. West Pokot is raining as well. It's 17 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees in West Pokot. Samburu, it's cloudy, 19 degrees this morning, highs of 28 degrees. Not so bad in Samburu. Kitui, it's scattered thunderstorms expected and it's 18 degrees this morning. 24 degrees are the highs expected in Kitui today. Tana River is also cloudy and it's a hot day in Tana River. 23 degrees this morning, highs of 32 degrees. And finally, Nairobi, it's raining as we speak and it's 16 degrees, highs of 23 degrees expected today. And that's the state of the weather. All right, let's see the quote of the day.
Excellence is not an accident. It's the outcome of continuous effort, disciplined action, and the cultivation of good habits that sustain long-term success and growth.
All right, let's take a look at the local dailies now, and we'll start off with, which one do you have?
I have a standard with me.
Yes.
And it's all about the abduction of Raphael Tuju. Abducted is what is a splash this morning. Missing is what the kicker is reading there. Pressure mounts as family and advocates demand answers over the mysterious disappearance of a former minister, Raphael Tuju, and his driver, with the police probing his abandoned vehicle. A high-stakes land dispute at the center. Allah is warned of threats linked to his current property battle, urging swift action to secure his safety and uncover the truth as questions deepen of alleged lender interest and stalled court proceedings amid rising public concern. This story is well fleshed out for you on page 4, and we have one of their lawyers there, that is PLO Lumumba, saying, at the moment, we will not like to engage in much speculation, but we'd like to ask the relevant agencies to ensure that Tuju is back safely, since we all know the tribulations that he has been facing lately, and someone might want to harm him. So you can follow this story on page 4 of the Standard this morning. Very interesting week it has been for Raphael Tuju, I think for the past 2 weeks. With his property, with this embattled, of course, property in question with the bank that lent him, you know, some eye-popping figure, 900 million shillings that now has ballooned to 4.5 billion shillings, accrued interests. And, you know, the question is it value for money, what they're really seeking from his property, according to him, the 27-acre land in Karen, with other assets inside it, so, and looking at the money that he was given, it is way, way much. So are they actually taking it for a song as it is? So people are reading so much into it. It's a hostile takeover. And you had the lawyers yesterday saying, you know, he was, his car was found along Mutoni Road in Karen, and together with the driver, that is Steve Mwanga. They were not in the car, and they are nowhere to be seen. He was heading for a radio show at one of the radio stations there, Radio Citizen, and he was an all-show. So this is still a mystery. So even politicians are really calling out on the government to expedite and trying to investigate what is really happening. Is there any correlation with, you know, his property, and where is he right now? So people are also questioning what will be the political implication of this, especially right now that we have Ruto in Nyanza, and we've seen some of the principals really calling out for the president for the government to look up into this matter very, very urgently, because they're saying, he's the son of a soil from Nyanza.
Well, ours is wait and see. We hope that Tuju and, of course, his driver are safe where they are.
We pray so.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for.
Yes, so we'll just go with what the lawyer is saying. Stop speculating with the headlines of abductions. We're not really sure if it's an abduction or what really has happened. We don't know what to call it right now. Yes, so until we get the right report. So let's just keep it, you know, within the presence of the investigation.
Absolutely.
For now, yes.
All right. And that's the only story given prominence on the front page?
Yes, on the front page of the Standard, actually. But also a very interesting story. Just reading about, because I know on page 10, we have Susion also, who's really gagging for re-election, if we may call it that way, of a NAT seat. You know, he has been the Secretary General for the longest time, also of NAT, before we had OU really coming on. And we have now the Secretary General saying that, you know, he has no space and he should keep off the affairs of the union, terming him an unwelcome guest, right? Because they say, oh, if you come out, you go embroil yourself in politics, why then do you come up here again? But I thought maybe it's your lordly right as an individual, you as a Kenyan and as a teacher. I don't know if he's been deregistered, because I think they claim he's not a teacher anymore.
Once a teacher is a teacher.
Yeah, so I don't know the mechanism and the modalities of it right now, but I think also there's a lot of political intrigue around this. Is he a threat to the current establishment within that? Is he registered as a teacher? What are the claims? What did he do? Because I've really not known what really happened to Sosion for him to be deregistered as a teacher, right? And he's never really said he always say, you know, he's a veteran educator. You know, but so it's a very interesting read here. Elections are bound to be happening next month. So, and we know, Mwalimu, we hold them dearly in our lives. Yes.
Absolutely. There's a very interesting story on page 2, and this is something that we should all be, looking out. Over 2 million Kenyans suffer from epilepsy. Over 2 million Kenyans suffer from epilepsy. Of course, a stigma blocks treatment. They say that 80% of people are living with epilepsy but are not diagnosed. 30% cases of epilepsy that can be prevented through maternal and child interventions. And 435 million people have neurological disorders, of course, globally. And epilepsy can get you at any point in your life.
Indeed. Indeed.
You can be 50 and you get epilepsy.
Yeah, it's true.
You can be 10 and you get epilepsy. So this is a very interesting story that all of us should be savvy to. Epilepsy is a neurological condition that occurs following damage of the brain. All right,
that's part also between Kioni and Rigathi Gachagua has been on, the red wheelbarrow. Yeah, so I think Kioni visited Gachagua in conciliation move. Yeah, meeting could mark a conciliatory handshake between Gachagua and Uhuru Kenyatta. Kioni softened his stance against Gachagua after Uhuru urged him to stop attacking the impeached deputy president. That is another story that you can follow also on page 5 of the Standard this morning. What do you have on your...
Taifa Leo talks about Tuju as well. Hofu Tuju akitoweka, gari lake lapatikana mtaani Karen, huku yeye mwenyewe na dereva wake wakikosekana. It's a story on the top strip, not the main story. But the main story on the front page here, Gen Z warejea na Niko Kadi. Niko Kadi ni kauli mbiu ngeni inayotumiwa kuwahimiza vijana wajisajili kwa wingi ili wapige kura mwaka ujao. Wanaita tsunami. Wimbi ila Niko Kadi linatishia kuwaadhibu viongozi wa kisiasa wasiofanya kazi inayowapendeza wa Kenya. Rais Ruto amerukia wimbi hilo akisema naye pia yuko kadi vijana watakao mdumisha mamlakani. Ama vipi? This one has been blocked a little bit. But yeah, now politicians want to politicize this Niko Kadi slogan that is going on in the country. And I wonder how Gen Zs view that particular thing now that, politicians wote Niko Kadi. Of course you would be Kadi. What do you mean uko Kadi? I feel like this is just a drive to get the youth who are yet to register, who never had registered before as voters, to register. And being that Gen Zs, how I know them, how I've interacted with them, this might also still bring back that apathy, even with the registration, now that politicians want to make this about them.
You think so?
I think so.
I think maybe they were just waiting for someone to rally them up. We are leaderless. So at times when you are leaderless, you're like a herd of sheep, waiting for that one to start now making the move. This is where we also have the paradigm shift really beginning, the herd mentality. Yeah. So everyone is copying out, okay, who will go first? Who's beginning with the action? Yeah. As soon as you do it, then we follow you. Yeah. So was it Alemba or what was his name again?
Yes, yeah? Ademba.
Ademba, yes. Ademba now who began that particular initiative, to Kokadi rallying call. You see now people are really coming out and turning out in force. Yeah. So you just wait for one person to begin the movement. And then you have the domino effect really, on the concentric circle now growing bigger and bigger. And yes, you never know what they were really waiting for. Maybe this is a good opportune time, even as we're heading towards the general election, that they should pick up, the tab. Maybe they've had also the rallying call from leaders. The IBC chair was, I think, in the People Dialogue Festival for the Young Turks, and he was really imploring them, go and take your voter's card. That is the powerful weapon that you do have.
Yes.
Yeah, do not underestimate the power of one vote. You know what they normally say? Well, it is contested, but they say also rising within the ranks of the Nazi party. Yeah, was the power of one vote that brought Hitler to power. Right? So you never know what your power of one vote can do, you as an individual. Just as Anita Roddick will say, do not underestimate, of course, you as an individual, what you can do. Yeah? And then she says that do not underestimate the power of little consequences, right? So if you underestimate the power of little consequences, that you've not been to bed with a mosquito. You know what a mosquito can do Yeah, if you're in bed with a mosquito. You'll not sleep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, that's the main story on the front page here, but I really, really wonder how that will go now that this is being politicized and, you know, politicians just jumping in on that. That's Taifa.
We have the Daily Nation up next. How deported Chinese could cost Kenyans 7 billion shillings is a splash today. And you can see also the flagger right on top there, halted. A court has blocked further deportation of the firm's employees. On the front page of the Daily Nation, it's a curious dispute between two Chinese state-owned firms over a lucrative Kenyan project party funded by the UK government. China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, which bid 22.9 billion shillings, claims in court papers that Kenyan authorities deported its officials at midnight to arm twist the firm into dropping a case challenging the award of a tender to China Road and Bridge Corporation, which quoted 29.9 billion shillings. This story is tucked away on page 4 and 5 of the publication today. And on the spot also is the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen. We have also the Attorney General, Dorcas Oduor. Douglas Kanja, the police inspector, is there as well, embroiled in this. And Immigration Director General, Evelyn Cheluget. Still on the front page of the Daily Nation, where is Tuju? That is a probing question today. The family of Raphael Tuju, who has been in the news lately, battling eviction from his auctioned current property, has reported him missing from Saturday evening alongside his driver, Steve Mwanga. You have a story on page 3 of the publication today. And you can also see mystery deepens on Kericho mass graves. Focus has shifted to the planned exhumation of 14 bodies reportedly buried in a mass grave in Kericho town as authorities seek to establish the victims' identities and causes of deaths. Yesterday, Nyamira County officials acknowledged burying 13 unclaimed bodies at Makaburini Cemetery, but could not confirm whether they were among the 14 discovered on Saturday. And this story is on page 2 and 3 of the publication today. Very interesting. 14 bodies. That's, I mean, that is a lot of number, a big number there of casualty. We don't know now what is the story behind this. Could we point fingers to also the flooding? We never know if this is the case. But yeah, let them exhume and forensic investigations be carried out to find out and establish what is behind the deaths of this 13 people.
All right, People Daily, the women's to shape Kenya's 2027 polls. All of them are here on the front page according to the People Daily, and this story is on page 4. They say Gladys Wanga, Cecily Mbarire, Catherine Waruguru, Anne Waiguru, Aisha Jumwa, Fatima Achani, Charity Ngilu, Susan Kihika, Martha Karua, and of course Jerusha Momanyi. People Daily wanasema these are the women to shape 2027 politics.
According to them.
According to them.
Yeah, so this is what empirical evidence did they use, that these are the consequential, you know, women political players in the country to be splashed on the front page. Some of them we've not really heard from very aggressively and maybe prominently as Charity Ngilu. So we'll wonder also, sometimes also we need to look at where this is coming from. Could be people behind the publications who wants to drive a narrative or put the faces in the public's domain so that they can seem these other formidable women to look up to, because there's so many of them.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, who also I think from our own assessment, they pass muster to be on the front page of the People Daily.
Absolutely. Yes. And they say here that obstacles to realization of two-thirds rule blamed on lack of goodwill in Parliament to the MPs, failing to provide the needed support to implement constitutional principle. Now, these are the women, according to the People Daily, that will shape 2027 polls. Nico Kadi, how Gen Z is rewriting voter registration narrative is a story on the top strip, and that's the People Daily.
Yeah, the Star is up next, and also is a niggling worry pointing to the high cost of living, elevated interest rates, stagnant incomes to blame. A lot of auctions is surging as households buckle under cash strain. This is on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning, as you can see here. Then is alluding to the fact that the cost of living and the costs, maybe also just the disposable income, they've remained stagnant for the longest time. And now people are also defaulting on their loans. The auctioneers are coming, you know, for their property. As we can see also, just a good prominent example is Rafael Tuju, yeah? So, and how many? You can see the auction pages in the dailies as well. They're getting bulkier and bulkier because of just the realities of life right now. When it comes to the cost of living, people cannot really match up to put up food on the table, pay for their school fees, and also maybe service their loans, as it were.
All right.
That is a Star, and still on the front page of a Star. Where is Tuju is a question again. Son and lawyer said his mobile phones had been switched off since Saturday night, which was unusual. And they called him up, I think he was in a church service, that is Mano. And still, as we say, it's a wait-and-see situation. We get the latest development also from the security officers.
Business Daily, Kerry prepares 16% VAT shock on small traders. That's the main story on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. And it says that the taxman is seeking to make it mandatory for all businesses to register as VAT agents, adding a fresh reporting obligation to small traders and triggering a rise in the price of a range of goods and services. This story is on page 2. And sexual abuse claims engulf tea sectors, courts back sackings. There's another story on page 2. This is page 5, rather, page 3. And it says that sexual misconduct claims are sweeping across Kenya's tea sector, with courts repeatedly backing sackings of managers implicated in the scams and signaling a decisive shift in how workplace harassment disputes are judged. And that's the Business Daily this morning. Let's cross over our borders, Kwanza, and then we come back and take a look at the caricatures. We start off in Uganda, the Daily Monitor. Tax proposals to hit hard. That is in Uganda, and this story is on page 3. But there's a very interesting story here. SGR ball now in Museveni court. Of course, there's President William Ruto here and President Yoweri Museveni launching the construction of the standard gauge railway in Kisumu on Saturday. And they say Museveni said their key plan is to move all heavy cargo away from roads to railway to cut transport costs and time. This is a major story in Uganda as well, and Kenya as well. Fuel prices are rising. Government says increase is not justified. That's the Daily Monitor. New Vision talks about the SGR as well. Naivasha Malaba SGR, a game changer. And in Tanzania, gazeti la Mwananchi, Sugu na sura ya Lissu na Mbowe. Anasema kwamba afunguka alivyosimama katikati, asema uhuni wa CCM uliweka kando Chadema, asisitiza iko imara kuliko jana, agusia mwaliko wake kwa Rais Samia Suluhu. Trump na Iran ni mwendo wa kutishana, dunia ya lalama, ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 21 wa gazeti hili. And on the Citizen, why Africa imports fuel despite vast oil reserves. It said that despite holding significant crude oil reserves, African countries continue to rely heavily on imported refined petroleum products, with analysts attributing the situation to a complex interplay of structural, financial, and market-related factors. What do you think? Are we prepared at least to have our own fuel in Africa rather than just depending on the Middle East?
Well, so the question has been, yeah, which is a good salutary effort, but I think people have been questioning the quality of the refined oil that is coming from Africa.
Yes.
Do we really have the capacity? As much as, yes, we have so much reserves, but how refined is it? That has been a big question.
Okay.
But it's another good avenue to explore. I think Africa, we are sufficient enough to make sure that we don't have pale in hand all the time to the Westerners or whichever countries that we are buying oil from.
Yeah.
We can try and never gaze and look at what resources we do have here in Africa that can be exceedingly beneficial for the continent.
All right. Let's take a look at the caricatures now, what the cartoonists are saying, and we start off with the one on the Daily Nation. That is Iga. NCSC has been caricatured here. They have buried their head on the ground. Wamenyamaza sana what is happening in the country with politicians throwing mud at each other.
Well, but the question has been, I think people have been contesting whether this is hate speech or not. Is it within the domain of NCIC, or this is a leadership and integrity question on Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which for me, I think doesn't make any lick of sense, because what you see, where do you draw a demarcation line which really comes to hate speech? You know, when you talk about tribalism and this body shaming, I don't know what will characterize as hate speech. And I remember even when we had the institution really coming to bear, people were questioning what is the ironclad definition of hate speech, right? That is still a moving target. Yes, so people are asking, oh, where is NCIC? Can they really come and speak on what is happening as far as the political landscape is concerned? You know, the slugfest that we're seeing currently, right? The anger platforming that is happening.
All right, NCIC buried their head in the ground, according to IGA. The one on the Standard, you have it?
I do have the People Daily, and you can see the canon there. I'm just getting started with the opposition. This is what Stano has picked up regarding now the ongoing political slugfest that we're talking about. And you can see the canon there. He's reading himself with another bullet. And he said, actually, he's going to dedicate 1%. Of his tour and you know, his speeches to target the opposition. The salvos will still go on. So he's not really rowing back. No, he's not giving up. Even with the calls from the church, from the laity as well, he is not really buckling down.
All right, that's the Stano's take, People Daily. The one on the Standard, Harry. In many parts of the world, chaos reigns and extends to the seas and ocean bed. Is this World War III? As you can see on the screen, that is Harry's take this morning. So these are the, of course, conversations making headlines this morning and shaping the nation's big conversations, the headlines as it stands. And your guests this morning, the state of the nation?
Yes, momentarily we shall be joined by Joshua Nyamori, advocate of the High Court. Also, we do have with us Daniel Orogo, political analyst, and Ikua Mbote. Ikua Wambote also is a political analyst. They're readying themselves for a very interesting conversation, just looking at the lay of the land, what is happening currently. Also, we shall talk a bit regarding the unveiling of the SGR from of course, Naivasha to Malaba. We saw Yoweri Museveni also trying to tighten the knot. We're tightening the knot. So of what exceeding a benefit will it also accrue for the country here in the region? We know the exorbitant prices that has been there. I think almost $2 per kilometer when it comes to ferrying all these cargoes across the network. So this is bound to open East African region all the way from here, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and the DRC as well. So we take a short break right now. When we circle back, we will continue with the discussion.
But we should give them our socials so that they can interact
with us.
TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital, our WhatsApp line is active kama kawaida, 0793 267 279. Now let's take a break.
Yes, sure.